thoughts on what A.J. Brown means to this Patriot roster? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, there was so much drama kind of surrounding this whole A. Brown in the offseason and whether he was going to come to New England and what that was going to mean to this team and kind of adding this veteran type receiver for Drake Maye and more weapons. And so I think when it finally happened, I think all of New England was pretty excited to have this guy on our team. I know that there was a little bit of, he wasn't clicking right away with Drake, and there was, he wasn't completing anything. And I went on our segment with Chris Price, where I do a podcast with him. I said, everyone just needs to relax. These guys just need a little bit of time. It's going to start clicking. They need to just be together, keep putting in the work. And I think, as you can kind of tell, I mean, in training camp, it's slowly but surely like they're just ascending this way and hopefully getting to that peak, when the season starts. And I think it's an awesome addition to this team, and he's going to help a lot. Drake, Josh McDaniels is going to use him so effectively. And I think it's going to be awesome to watch that in the season.
And it's a receiver room that you blink and all of a sudden it is stacked. So A.J. Brown comes in this past offseason. Romeo Doubs comes in as well. Kayshon Boutte spoke a couple of months ago and kind of demanded a trade, that he wanted out of New England. We haven't really heard much on that front since. So if you are the New England Patriots, how do you approach that? And if Kayshon Boutte does stick around for the entirety of the season, if you're Josh McDaniels, how do you feed all of those mouths?
Gosh, I mean, the more the better, I think. I mean, listen, the way that Josh runs his offense, and he's done this for so many years because he's had so many talented guys in his, at his disposal. I mean, Gronk, Julian, Danny, Randy. I mean, you can go down the list. When he has these guys, as long as these guys are capable of being in an offense where they're not necessarily always going to be a feature every single week, but you're going to get your touches and inevitably you're going to go out and hopefully win football games. I mean, I think that's really the goal here. And this team, what Vrabel has built, what Elliott is building, the guys that they brought into this locker room, they really haven't brought in a bunch of me guys. They brought in a bunch of guys that want to win football games. And I think if you keep all of these guys together, you're going to see a very dynamic offense that is going to be capable of doing some really great things. So I think the more the better. I mean, I think you go up and down that list. I mean, from AJ, Mac, Kayshon, Romeo, then you had Kyle, Pop, whoever that is. I mean, you got guys that can kind of play a role and be effective and perform. Like, I mean, that's gold to me, right? I think Josh is probably licking his chops right now, waiting to get into the season to kind of different personnel groupings and formations and all the things that he loves to do, and have a quarterback that's able to digest all of that and then get the ball to where it needs to go. I mean, I don't think you could ask for anything better right now from a wide receiver room perspective.
Not sure we can ask for much better from the way Drake Maye played last year either. And I'll be honest with you, Chris, like, part of what surprised me, I've talked to a couple of guys that have been part of Josh McDaniels' offense over the years. And one guy told me specifically it was like a different language, foreign language. Like, it takes a lot of learning. So what am I supposed to make Drake Maye, who in year one seemed to master that language so quickly? What's that mean for year two in this offensive system?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great point. But I think Josh is a great teacher first and foremost. It's a lot, and it's heavy to digest, and there's so much information, and it's so detail oriented. So I think, from a player perspective, you have to be a professional about it, and you have to be able to study and understand it and really go over it and over it and over it. It's not something that's just going to come right away. But like, from me personally, when I first got in the building, I had to dive into all of this stuff so that I could go out there. And, I was playing with a guy that's been in the league for 18 years, right? Things were not going to slow down just because I walked in the building and it was the first time seeing it. So you have to be able to learn it. You have to be able to study it. And I think what you have in this room right now is a bunch of guys that are capable of doing that. They want to do it. And Drake has been able to do it very well. And he's only, really been with Josh for a year. So going into year two with this offense, Drake, I think, is just going to continue to ascend. His knowledge, his football knowledge, his football IQ, he's going to be able to play faster. I think you're going to see more formations and personnel groupings. and he's got the guys to do it. And I think that's probably the important piece to look at. Maybe he didn't have it in years past, but now you look at this roster up and down from an offensive standpoint, right? From the backs, tight ends, receivers, you have the guys, right? And Josh is such a game plan oriented coach where he's going to be able to put all of these guys in positions to be successful first and foremost, and hopefully move the ball down the field, put points on the board. And, that's what you want to do as an offense.
Patriots isn't the only team that you played for. You also had a multi-year stint in Buffalo. So I'm going to ask you to ruffle the feathers of one of your former team's fan bases. Which quarterback would you choose to build your team around for the next 5 years? Are you taking Josh Allen or Drake Maye?
Oh, you're really putting me on the spot there with that one.
I know.
You know what? Here, listen, I'll take I was so well coached by Bill Belichick, so I know how to answer these questions. But honestly, they are so talented, the two of them. That is a hard question. I think from what I've been able to see, I think Josh has unbelievable arm talent. He's an incredible athlete. I think right now, that you have not scratched the ceiling for Drake. I think that he's only going to continue to learn and get better and play faster, kind of develop himself. I'm really looking forward to him to kind of take that leadership role this year as he goes into his next season, coming off a Super Bowl loss, but a very, very good season that he had, runner up in the MVP, and he played really, really well. So I think if I'm going to pick a quarterback right now today, I'm going to pick Drake. And I'm going to pick him just because I think he's only going to keep getting better. As from what I can see, a young kid that has a very good head on his shoulders, that is capable of dealing with things outside of football. He's capable of dealing with the media in the right way. He's, clearly wants to win and wants to learn. And I think he's going to take on that leadership role, that, be a captain of this offense and be able to kind of take this team, going from a Super Bowl year to the next year is difficult, right? It's tough to win in this league year to year. So I think this is going to be a big step for him this year. They've painted that target, on their backs again, right? Everyone's going to come into New England or circle when they got New England, which hadn't been the case for the last couple of years. And that's back now. So things are going to be kind of pointed in his direction. They're going to want to stop him and make it hard for him. So I'm going to pick Drake right now.
Everything you just mentioned about the way people will hunt New England this year makes this question a little bit difficult. The Patriots won the division last year, but the Bills have won the division several times leading up to it. Who should be the favorite in the division this year?
I'm gonna say New England, and I think it's because of what they were able to do last year. I think that this year, I really think that they're going to have another successful season. I mean, the defense has a bunch of guys that are returning. I think that defense is going to be playing really, really well underneath Vrabel. And again, this offense going into year two with Josh and with Romeo, with AJ, with the guys that they've added, you have a couple of guys that are coming off their rookie year. You returned a bunch of guys. I think offensive line, right, is always going to be a question of like, how well can we protect Drake? And, obviously Josh is also a big adamant of, he wants to run the football and do that effectively and kind of be multifaceted in how he approaches each game. So I know it's going to be those two, right? At the end of the day, it's going to be Buffalo or New England, but I'm going to say New England has the edge here in the AFC East.
And so many former players have told me the only thing harder than getting to the Super Bowl is getting back to the Super Bowl. Something that I think Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes have made look really easy. But understanding that and how crowded the AFC is, what does success look like for the Patriots this year, coming off of their trip to the Super Bowl last year?
I think that's a great question. I believe that success in when I look at it is this team continues to progress. And I think that you see a progression in Drake, you see a progression in this offense. I think that you see these guys, and they did it so well last year. They played good football, right? There wasn't a ton of penalties. They didn't hurt themselves a lot. I think from an offensive standpoint, you're You're staying out of bad yardages, bad third and longs, right? You're moving the football. You're putting points on the board. You're not kicking field goals in the red zone. I think that they've added some guys that are really going to help them in the red zone this year, which was, I think, one of the areas of the field where we didn't always transfer into 6 points, and we were kicking a lot of field goals. So I think getting into the red area, putting points on the board, continuing to play good football, win those close games, win those fourth quarter games, which, I think, as we all know, a lot of these games, because all these teams are so talented, right? They come down to 4-quarter games. So staying in it for 4 quarters, playing that complementary football from offense, defense, special teams, just going out there and winning football games that way. I think that's going to be a successful season for these guys, no matter if the wins and losses. I mean, listen, I think these guys are going to win games, and I think that they're going to be in the playoff hunt again this year. How they get there or what that looks like, I don't really, yet to be seen. But as of now, I think that this team is kind of building on what they built off of last year, what they had, and kind of rolling into this year. And I think they're going to do very well this year.
Winning cures everything. I know that. And Mike Vrabel is a coach that loves to keep a very straightforward, non-distracted locker room. That's obviously been difficult over the summer. How does that locker room sort of compartmentalize all the noise that's been around Vrabel coming into this season?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think we dealt with it in the beginning of the season, and we haven't really heard about much of it once training camp started. And I think that, again, what the guys that they've put in this locker room, they are capable of separating, from what's outside the doors of the facility to when they get into locker room. It's all it is about football. And I think Mike has done a very good job of kind of explaining to his team, like, listen, it is what it is. Like, he's going to deal with his stuff on the outside. But when it comes to being in the locker room and being in front of the team, it's all about winning football games. And the rest of that stuff will take care of itself. Everyone has their own stuff going on outside these doors, right? They have family, they have kids, they have, whatever it is, right? But as soon as you walk through the doors, right, you have a job. This is your job. To be an NFL football player, to go in there, prepare yourselves as best you can, go out on Sundays and win football games. So I think that this team has enough veteran leadership. It has enough guys that are returning. They got a taste of winning, and they know what it takes to get to that game, right? They know what it takes to play all season long, going into February, and how long the season is and what it takes to get there. So I think you're going to see a team that's going to be able to separate all of this stuff that's going on outside, deal with it in the media the way that they can. And they've been doing with a very good job from what I've been able to tell, and, focus on what's important. And that's winning football games.
So we just got the news late last night that Keenan Allen was signing a 1-year deal with the Indianapolis Colts. Walk us through how difficult that must be mentally, physically, from a football perspective of Keenan Allen is the guy with the Chargers for so long. And then now he's signing short-term deals, learning a new offense, learning chemistry with a new quarterback, learning an entire new organization and franchise. What are some of the difficulties and the processes that go through adjusting to where you are in your career at that point?
Yeah. I mean, listen, I think, Father Time is undefeated, right? And, at some point you get into your late in your career, and not everyone is fortunate to play their entire career, underneath one team. And Keenan has been able to be so successful for so long, and he is one of the great receivers that has ever played in this league. And for a guy like him, and speaking from me personally, you go to different teams, right? But what it takes to win and to be on the field and be a professional. And I think that Keenan is going to be able to go into a different offense. He's going to be able to learn it very quickly. This league is it's a copycat league. I mean, all the plays and the formations and all of this stuff, it's all very similar. They just might have a different name or a different way of calling it. So I think for him, it's just going to be kind of learning the offense, being able to kind of create that chemistry with a quarterback, which is hard to do. It doesn't happen overnight. But he's going to take the time, right? He's a professional. He's a veteran guy. He knows what it takes to do it. And he's been doing it for a very long time. So he's probably taking this time, I think, as a veteran guy, going and signing right now, he's had all this time to, kind of, work on his body and stay ready and be in shape and, not be in training camp, which probably was pretty nice for a little while. So he's probably enjoying that. And now he gets to kind of this slow on ramp where he'll be able to, learn the offense, get into the playbook, get into the locker room with the guys. He's well respected. I mean, he's got the resume. So everyone knows when Keenan Allen walks into the locker room, it's not like, who is this guy, right? Everyone knows who he is and what he's capable of doing. And I think that the Colts should be very excited to have a guy like that on the roster.